well played, Joe Root.
Boundary follows boundary, follows boundary for Joe Root.
150 on the board for Joe Root.
Target practice, isn't it?
What the heck?
Annoying, isn't it?
Target practice,
Yeah, that's what I've just said, target practice.
How do you prepare for an ODI, and does it differ depending on the opposition and the conditions?
Slightly. Generally, before a game, you go into it having a good idea of what you want to work on. And that'll obviously differ between players and formats, but skill-based wise, you obviously in one-day cricket might be a little bit more expansive in your shot selection, so probably practice a few more flamboyant strokes, but on the whole you want to get in good strong positions and make good contact with the ball and just get into good habits more than anything.
So the mindset is pretty different between the three different formats?
Slightly. I think, like you say, you go into your net, not a lot changes, you're still facing blokes from 22 yards. The majority of the stuff you do is very similar. You want to be really precise with your movements and get in good positions, and then just, depending on the format, you might be slightly more aggressive or protective of your wicket.
Pretty good start.
You can cut there if you want.
So when you're facing the spinners, how important is it to have a specific plan? Some guys like to sweep, some other guys like to come down the track.
I think it depends on the bowler as well as the individual preference, but generally have a good solid idea of where you want to score your runs. So depending on which way the ball's turning, you might favour one side of the wicket, and then just be really clear on what you want to do, and then just try and execute it to the best of your ability. But generally in a net session, you try and plan out and map out roughly where you think the field's going to be, and then try and hit the gaps and make it as much of a match situation as possible. And then if you can do that, it's a lot easier to then take it into the game, and it feels like you've really prepared for the environment when you step out into the game. Ball, mate. No.
It's one that makes you want to
Yeah. Yeah. They've done a little bit these nets early on this morning, so it just more than anything, it highlights if you're not quite in the right position, then you get found out a little bit. So it's really good practice to make sure you're getting a good stride in if it's full, or getting right back in your crease if it's short, and really getting into solid, strong positions so you can make good contact with the ball.
Do you think about previous dismissals as well? Obviously you got bowled by Malinga in that game up at Durham. With something like that, do you think, well, that's just a good ball?
We obviously want to try and iron out any flaws, but I think it'd be wrong just to pick out individual dismissals. I think if there's a pattern over a certain period of time, then you might want to look at it, but with games coming so thick and fast, you want to keep practicing all the things you're very good at and gradually trying to iron out little errors along the way. But I don't think you can dwell on dismissals too much, especially with a game around the corner and the next day. You want to try and make sure you're in a really good frame of mind to go out and score a lot of runs the following day.
I suppose the other difficult thing about this is that these net bowlers and all the England bowlers are all very orthodox. Sri Lanka, we know, completely the opposite. How do you prepare for those type of bowlers?
Well, you obviously get the footage from previous games, not just the ones you've played in, but from previous series that they've played in. You get a good look at that, you watch video footage, you work out the variations, the slower balls, the difference in deliveries, and then you can try and simulate it as much as you can in nets. You get obviously Graham Thorpe, Paul Farbrace with the dog stick, if you like, and they can always come slightly lower with their arms, so you've got a similar sort of approach to Malinga. Yeah. If you do the basics well and you practice against the orthodox bowlers with good strong cricket shots, and you go into the game having a clear plan of how you're going to combat it, then it gives yourself the best chance of performing well, so fingers crossed. Yeah.
That was quite a long session.
Well, like you say, you want to go into the game making sure you feel you've done everything possible to perform well. Each player's slightly different in the preparation. They've just got to make sure that they get what they need to feel good about tomorrow, and so they can then relax for the rest of the afternoon and get themselves in the right frame of mind to perform well tomorrow.
Do you feeling good, Nick?
I feel all right. Yeah, felt like my movements were pretty good today. So I'll turn up again tomorrow and do what I need to do in my practice and preparation. So hopefully when I go out there, I'll feel fresh and I'm ready to hopefully score some big runs.